You ever looked at your life and wondered how much potential still lies hidden inside you, waiting to be unleashed? That quiet thought that surfaces when the world grows silent, reminding you that you are capable of far more than what you've allowed yourself to believe. Deep down, you already know you were not placed here to simply exist, to go through the motions, or to carry the weight of unfulfilled dreams. You were meant to transform, to rise, to experience the full power of your own strength. And that shift can begin now, not tomorrow, not someday, but in this very moment. The truth is, transformation doesn't wait for permission. It begins the second you decide to stop living as a prisoner of doubt and fear. It begins when you break free from the invisible chains of hesitation that have been holding you back. Those chains are not real. They are made of beliefs, habits, and stories you've been telling yourself for too long. And every time you choose courage over comfort, every time you choose action over excuses, another link of that chain falls away. Ask yourself, how much longer are you willing to silence your own greatness? How many more days will you allow fear to convince you that you are not ready? Time is slipping by, and every moment you wait, the life you truly want drifts further away. The choice to transform is not something you make once. It is something you affirm with every decision, every action, every breath. Right now, you have the power to rewrite your story, to step into a version of yourself that no longer hides behind hesitation, but stands tall in conviction. The fire you need is already inside you. The reason you are listening now is because some part of you refuses to settle. That restless part of your soul is calling you forward, asking you to rise higher, to stop shrinking when you were built to expand. Transformation is not reserved for a lucky few. It belongs to anyone bold enough to claim it. You don't need to wait for perfect circumstances. You don't need more time, more approval, or more preparation. You need to decide that enough is enough, and that your future cannot afford the cost of your delay. When you embrace this truth, something remarkable happens. Your doubts begin to lose their power. Your fears shrink in comparison to your vision. You feel a surge of energy because you finally realize you are not stuck. You are free to change direction, free to break patterns, free to chase what matters most. And in that freedom, you awaken to the reality that life is not waiting to be transformed. It is waiting for you to transform yourself. Stay with this journey, because each principle you are about to hear carries the power to unlock a different part of your strength. Each one is a key, and together they will open doors you never thought you could walk through. If you have ever wanted to rise above the weight of the past, if you have ever felt the pull toward a higher version of yourself, then this is the moment to lean in fully. By the end, you will not only see the path, you will feel ready to walk it. And that readiness, that unshakable conviction, is where true transformation begins. The first principle of transformation begins with taking full ownership of your life. Nothing changes until you accept that you are responsible for where you are and where you are going. This is not about blame. It is about power. As long as you keep pointing to circumstances, people, or the past as the reason for your struggles, you hand over your strength. You give away control of the very thing you most need to protect, your ability to create change. Ownership means refusing to be a victim of conditions. It means choosing to stand up and say, this is my life, and I will shape it. The moment you embrace responsibility, everything shifts. Instead of waiting for life to improve, you become the one who improves it. Instead of asking why things happen to you, you begin asking what you can do with what has happened. This simple but powerful shift changes your entire relationship with the future, because when you stop waiting to be rescued, you discover that you were the rescuer all along. That realization awakens confidence, and confidence leads to action. Taking ownership is not easy because it requires honesty. You must be willing to face the parts of your life that you have avoided. You must admit when your habits, your choices, or your lack of decisions have created results you do not want. But this honesty is not meant to break you. It is meant to liberate you. The moment you acknowledge your own role, you unlock your ability to change it. And when you do, excuses lose their grip and discipline takes their place. This is how transformation begins in real time, not with waiting, not with wishing, but with courage. The courage to face your own reflection and claim it fully. Think about how much energy is wasted in blame, comparison, and self-pity. Imagine what would happen if all that energy was redirected toward building, creating, and rising. That shift alone could redefine the trajectory of your entire life. Responsibility is not a burden, it is a gift. It means you are no longer powerless. It means no setback has the final word because you are still here to rewrite the ending. It means you can wake up tomorrow with a new plan, a new focus, a new level of determination, and no one can take that from you. Ownership puts you back in the driver's seat of your destiny. Ask yourself right now, what part of your life have you been avoiding responsibility for? Is it your health, your relationships, your goals? The uncomfortable truth is that nothing will improve until you claim it. But the moment you do, momentum is born. That momentum will build with every small step, every bold decision, every action that declares, I am in charge of my future. The power to transform does not come from wishing for change. It comes from declaring that your life is yours and no excuse will control it any longer. The weight of responsibility may feel heavy at first, but in reality, it will set you free. Because when you own your life, you also own the power to change it. And that ownership is the foundation of every transformation that will follow. The second principle of transformation is clarity. Without clarity, energy scatters, focus drifts, and progress slows to a crawl. You cannot hit a target you cannot see, and you cannot build a future you have not clearly defined. Most people feel stuck not because they lack potential, but because they lack a precise vision of where they are going. They confuse movement with progress, but running in circles is not the same as moving forward. Transformation begins to accelerate when you get crystal clear about what you want and why it matters. Clarity strips away the fog of uncertainty and gives direction to your energy. It is the difference between living reactively and living intentionally. When you know your destination, every choice becomes easier to measure. You stop asking, what should I do? And instead ask, does this move me closer or further from the life I have chosen? That single question cuts through distractions and eliminates noise. It keeps you aligned with what you said matters most, even when temptations or setbacks appear. Clarity also brings courage. Fear thrives in confusion. When you don't know what you want, every option feels overwhelming. But when your vision is sharp, fear loses its control because you know what you're aiming for. Your mind and body can handle difficulty if the purpose is clear enough. That is why the strongest people are not those who have no fear, but those whose clarity of purpose is greater than the weight of their fear. The process of gaining clarity requires honesty with yourself. You must be willing to strip away expectations placed on you by others. You must silence the voices that tell you to settle for what looks safe instead of what feels true. Real clarity comes when you stop asking, what will they think? And start asking, what do I truly want for my life? That is not selfishness. It is alignment. Because only when you are aligned with your deepest values can you create the kind of life that feels meaningful and whole. Imagine how different your days would feel if every action was tied to a purpose that mattered deeply to you. Imagine how much motivation you would naturally have if you woke up each morning with a clear picture of why your effort counts. That is the power of clarity. It transforms struggle into progress and obstacles into lessons. Instead of feeling lost, you feel anchored. Instead of drifting, you feel directed. Take a moment now and ask yourself, what do I truly want? Not what seems possible, not what others expect, but what sets my soul on fire. That answer is the compass you have been searching for. And once you have it, every distraction begins to fade into the background because your focus becomes unshakable. Clarity is the fuel that drives responsibility into action. Responsibility says, this is my life. Clarity says, this is where I'm going. Together, they form the foundation of transformation. Without them, you wander. With them, you advance. And once you see your path clearly, nothing can stop you from walking it with power, purpose, and unstoppable momentum. The third principle of transformation is discipline. Clarity may show you the path, but discipline is what keeps you walking it when comfort whispers in your ear. Discipline is the bridge between intention and reality, between dreams and results. Without it, even the clearest vision dissolves into wishful thinking. With it, impossible goals begin to take shape because discipline turns effort into consistency and consistency into transformation. Discipline is not about punishment or restriction. It is about freedom. the freedom to rise above impulses that keep you small, the freedom to act on what you said matters instead of what feels easy in the moment. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you reclaim your power. You prove to yourself that your future matters more than temporary comfort. That proof builds self-respect, and self-respect fuels confidence. The truth is, success is not built in sudden bursts of motivation. It is built in the quiet, daily acts of discipline that no one else sees. Motivation is fleeting. Some days you will wake up inspired, but most days you will not. Discipline is what carries you through the uninspired days. It is the voice inside that says, do it anyway. And when you listen to that voice, you begin to trust yourself. That trust is what gives you strength to take bigger leaps because you know you will not abandon yourself when things get hard. Discipline also creates momentum. Small, consistent actions compound into massive results over time. The world often glorifies quick success, but the reality is transformation is born from persistence. When you stay disciplined, you create habits that no longer rely on willpower. What was once hard becomes automatic. What was once heavy becomes light. That is how discipline transforms effort into identity. You stop forcing yourself to act and you start becoming the kind of person who naturally follows through. The mind resists discipline because it fears discomfort. But discomfort is not the enemy, it is the evidence of growth. Every time you lean into discomfort, you expand your capacity. You teach your brain that struggle does not break you, it shapes you. That shift rewires your mindset from avoidance to resilience. And resilience is the mark of every person who has ever achieved lasting transformation. Ask yourself now, where have you been letting comfort win? Where have you been waiting for motivation instead of building discipline? The honest answers to these questions reveal the exact areas where your growth is waiting. And the moment you commit to discipline in those areas, you will notice an immediate shift. Your confidence will rise, your energy will stabilize, and your vision will begin to feel within reach. Discipline is the gift you give your future self. It is the promise that you will not betray your potential for temporary ease. It is the daily decision to keep moving forward, even when no one is watching, even when it feels slow, even when it feels hard. Because discipline guarantees that progress is always happening, even when results are not yet visible. And with discipline, you will not only stay on the path of transformation, you will walk it with strength, consistency, and unstoppable determination. The fourth principle of transformation is mindset. Every action you take, every decision you make, every goal you pursue begins in the mind. If your mindset is limited, your life will be limited. If your mindset is expansive, your life will expand to match it. The world you experience is filtered through the beliefs you hold about yourself and what is possible. Transformation is not just about changing what you do. It is about changing how you think, because thoughts shape behavior and behavior shapes destiny. A strong mindset is not about ignoring challenges or pretending everything is easy. It is about choosing to see possibilities where others see obstacles. It's about interpreting struggle as training rather than punishment. The mind is a lens, and you control how sharp or blurred that lens becomes. When you train your mindset to focus on growth instead of limitations, your entire reality shifts. Suddenly, failure is not the end, but a stepping stone. Suddenly, setbacks are not signals to quit, but reminders that you are still in the fight. The most powerful shift you can make is moving from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. A fixed mindset says, this is who I am, this is all I can do. A growth mindset says, I can learn, I can adapt, I can become. That single change rewires your approach to life. Instead of fearing mistakes, you embrace them as part of progress. Instead of doubting your potential, you prove it by taking action. The belief that you can grow is the foundation of every breakthrough. Mindset also determines how much of your potential you access. The brain is wired to protect you, to keep you safe inside familiar patterns. But safety is not the same as fulfillment. Safety keeps you small. Mindset pushes you to step into the unknown, to stretch beyond what feels comfortable, to test your limits and discover new strength. Every time you expand your mindset, you expand your life. Training your mindset requires daily awareness. You must catch the thoughts that weaken you and replace them with thoughts that strengthen you. You must notice when you are feeding doubt, fear, or excuses and consciously redirect toward belief, courage, and possibility. This is not about blind positivity. It is about truth. The truth that you are capable of more. The truth that growth is always available. The truth that your mind can be trained like any muscle. And the more you train it, the stronger it becomes. Think about how different your life would be if you chose empowering interpretations over limiting ones. What if you decided that every challenge was a lesson? What if you decided that nothing could stop you except giving up? What if you decided that your future is not determined by your past, but by the mindset you carry into today? Those choices would change everything because the mind directs the body and belief directs behavior. Mindset is the silent force behind all transformation. Discipline can push you forward, but mindset determines how far you can go. When your mind is aligned with growth, nothing can hold you back. When your mind is rooted in limitation, nothing can move you forward. Choose the thoughts that strengthen you, feed the beliefs that expand you, and guard your mindset as if your future depends on it, because it does. The fifth principle of transformation is belief. You can have responsibility, clarity, discipline, and even the right mindset, but if you do not believe you are capable of change, you will sabotage yourself at every step. Belief is the foundation of action. It is the inner conviction that fuels persistence, that whispers, keep going when everything feels heavy. Without belief, opportunities pass unnoticed, effort feels meaningless, and goals collapse under doubt. But with belief, even the impossible begins to bend in your direction. Belief is not about ignoring reality. It is about shaping it. Your mind will always look for evidence to confirm what you believe. If you believe you are limited, you will notice proof everywhere. If you believe you are capable, you will find chances to rise in places others only see walls. The world mirrors the certainty you carry within. That is why the strongest shift you can make is not in your circumstances, but in your self-belief. Many people wait for proof before they believe. They want results to come first, confidence to come first, success to come first. But transformation does not work that way. Belief precedes proof. You must believe before you see. You must trust your own strength before life gives you reasons to. The mind resists this, but it is the only way progress is made. Every breakthrough, every invention, every victory began as belief before it became fact. Belief is a choice, not a feeling. You do not have to wait for inspiration to trust yourself. You choose it, moment by moment, decision by decision. Each time you decide to believe, you expand your capacity. Each time you act from belief, your confidence grows stronger. It's like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the more powerful it becomes. And soon, belief is no longer something you practice, but something you embody. The challenge is that doubt is loud. Doubt will try to convince you that belief is naive, that you are not ready, that you are not enough. But doubt only wins if you feed it. Belief grows stronger when you starve your doubt and nourish your confidence with evidence of your own progress. Look at the times you overcame what you thought you couldn't. Look at the strength you've already proven in moments of struggle. That is proof that belief in yourself is not fantasy, it is true. Ask yourself, what would change if you decided to fully believe in yourself right now? How differently would you act? How much bolder would you move? How many excuses would disappear if you no longer questioned your worth? That version of you already exists. It is waiting on the other side of belief. Belief is the key that unlocks every other principle. Responsibility gives you ownership. Clarity gives you direction. Discipline gives you consistency. Mindset gives you growth. But belief gives you permission. Permission to rise, permission to act, permission to claim the life you were meant to live. And when you hold that belief fiercely, there is nothing you cannot transform. The sixth principle of transformation is action. Belief without action becomes hope that never materializes. Vision without action becomes a dream that slowly fades. Action is the spark that ignites everything you have built internally. It turns ownership, clarity, discipline, mindset, and belief into results you can see and feel. Transformation does not happen in thought alone. It happens when thought meets movement, when intention meets execution. The greatest trap is waiting for the perfect time. You tell yourself you will start when you feel ready, when conditions improve, when the fear subsides. But readiness is an illusion. If you wait until fear disappears, you will wait forever. The only way to feel ready is to act before you feel prepared, to step forward even when your knees shake. Action is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to let fear dictate your choices. Every small step matters. Do not underestimate the power of a single decision, a single action, repeated with consistency. Great transformations are not built in one giant leap, but in countless small moves that compound over time. Each step builds confidence, each decision strengthens your resolve, and each action shifts your identity closer to the person you want to become. Action also builds clarity. Many people sit paralyzed trying to figure out the exact right path before they begin. But clarity is rarely found in stillness. It is discovered in motion. You cannot steer a parked car, and you cannot redirect a life that is standing still. The more you act, the more feedback you gain. You learn what works, what doesn't, what aligns, and what must be left behind. In this way, action becomes your teacher, guiding you with lessons no book, plan, or thought can give. Action also destroys doubt. The mind loves to create stories of failure, to magnify obstacles, to convince you that you cannot. But once you take action, even the smallest step, those stories lose their grip. Momentum silences fear. Progress shrinks hesitation. You begin to realize that the mountain you feared is not as tall as it seemed, and that your strength is far greater than you imagined. Ask yourself, what is the action you have been delaying? What step have you been promising yourself you would take but continue to push away? That step is the doorway to your transformation. Do not wait for the courage to arrive before you move. Move first, and the courage will follow. Each time you act, you train your brain to trust you, to believe that when you say you will do something, you will follow through. That trust becomes unshakable confidence, and that confidence fuels even greater action. Action is where transformation becomes real. It is where belief turns into proof, where mindset turns into movement, where discipline turns into results. Nothing changes until you move, but once you do, everything begins to shift. Take the step, no matter how small, because that step has the power to change everything. The life you want is not waiting in thought, it is waiting in action. And the moment you act, you declare to yourself and the world that you are no longer standing still. You are moving, you are rising, you are transforming. The seventh principle of transformation is consistency. Action gets you started, but consistency keeps you moving until results become inevitable. Anyone can take action for a day, a week, or even a month, but true change requires persistence long after the excitement fades. Transformation is not built in bursts of effort. It is built in the quiet repetition of daily choices. The person who stays consistent, even with small actions, will always outlast the one who starts big but quits quickly. Consistency builds trust with yourself. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you strengthen your identity as someone who follows through. That identity is powerful because once you see yourself as consistent, you stop negotiating with excuses. You no longer wonder if you will act. You simply act because it is who you are. And the stronger this identity becomes, the more unstoppable your momentum grows. The challenge is that consistency demands patience. Results rarely appear overnight. Progress can feel invisible in the early stages, but the absence of immediate reward does not mean nothing is happening. The truth is, every repetition is building a foundation beneath the surface. Just as a seed grows roots long before it breaks through the soil, your consistent efforts are preparing breakthroughs you cannot yet see. Trust the process, even when it feels slow, because the ones who stay consistent eventually create results so massive that others mistake them for sudden success. Consistency also rewires your brain. Habits are formed through repetition, and every repeated action strengthens the neural pathways that make it easier to continue. What feels difficult at first becomes automatic through consistency. Discipline evolves into routine, and routine evolves into identity. This is how transformation lasts, not through force, but through the quiet power of habit that sustains itself. The mind will always try to trick you into quitting early. It will whisper that missing one day doesn't matter, that skipping one step won't hurt. But every time you give in, you weaken your momentum. Consistency is not about perfection. It is about persistence. Even if you stumble, even if you miss a step, you return immediately. You don't wait until Monday. You don't wait until next month. You return today, because today is always the only time that matters. Ask yourself, what would your life look like if you stayed consistent with the habits that matter most? Imagine the strength you would build if you committed to daily progress instead of chasing instant gratification. Imagine the transformation waiting for you if you stop starting over and finally kept going. That vision is not out of reach. It is the inevitable outcome of consistency. Consistency compounds. It turns small, ordinary actions into extraordinary results. It takes effort that feels insignificant today and multiplies it into strength, skill, and success tomorrow. When you master consistency, you no longer rely on bursts of motivation. You rely on the unstoppable force of momentum. And with that momentum, transformation is no longer just possible. It is guaranteed. The eighth principle of transformation is resilience. Consistency builds momentum, but resilience ensures that momentum is not destroyed when life strikes back. Challenges will come, setbacks will appear, and disappointments will test your strength. Transformation is not about avoiding these moments, it's about rising through them. Resilience is the ability to bend without breaking, to fall but rise stronger, to turn obstacles into stepping stones rather than roadblocks. Every person who has ever transformed their life has faced moments that could have stopped them. The difference between those who quit and those who rise is resilience. It is the refusal to let one failure define you, the refusal to let pain harden you, the refusal to let difficulty erase your vision. Resilience is not about pretending the struggle is easy. It is about deciding that the struggle will not defeat you. Resilience begins with perspective. When setbacks come, the mind can either label them as proof that you cannot succeed or as lessons preparing you for something greater. The choice is yours. If you see failure as final, you will stop. If you see failure as feedback, you will grow. This shift in interpretation is what separates those who collapse from those who evolve. Every setback can carry wisdom, but only if you are willing to extract the lesson instead of drowning in the pain. Resilience also comes from emotional strength. Transformation requires you to manage frustration, disappointment, and fear without letting them control your actions. Emotional strength does not mean you never feel weak. It means you refuse to stay weak. It means acknowledging your emotions, but choosing not to be ruled by them. Resilience is built in those moments when you want to give up but don't, when you want to run but stay, when you want to quit but take another step forward anyway. Think about how many times in your past you thought you couldn't keep going, and yet you did. Those moments are proof that resilience already lives within you. Every time you endure what once felt unbearable, you grew stronger. That strength did not disappear. It is still inside you, waiting to be called on again. The more you use it, the more unshakable it becomes. Resilience is also fueled by vision. When your why is strong enough, no setback is powerful enough to destroy it. The person who has a clear purpose will always rise after being knocked down, because the purpose is bigger than the pain. The pain is temporary, but the vision is permanent. And when you anchor yourself to that vision, resilience becomes natural. You stop asking, why me? And start declaring, try me. Ask yourself, what challenge in your life right now is demanding resilience from you? What situation could either break you or build you? The choice of interpretation is yours. Decide now that nothing has the power to stop you unless you surrender. Decide that every obstacle will become a lesson. Every failure will become a foundation. Every storm will leave you stronger. Resilience is the armor of transformation. It protects your progress, strengthens your spirit, and prepares you for even greater victories. With resilience, nothing can keep you down for long. You may bend, but you will not break. You may fall, but you will always rise. And each time you rise stronger than before. The ninth principle of transformation is focus. Resilience allows you to rise after every setback, but focus ensures that your energy is directed toward what truly matters. Without focus, even the strongest effort is scattered. You may work hard, but without concentrated direction, you end up exhausted without progress. Focus is the ability to silence the noise, to remove the unnecessary, and to channel your attention fully into the actions that move you closer to your vision. The world is filled with distractions designed to pull you away from what matters most. Endless demands, constant notifications, competing priorities, all of them fight for your attention. But transformation requires ruthless clarity about what deserves your energy and what does not. Focus is not about doing more. It is about doing what counts. It is about choosing depth over speed, quality over quantity, progress over busyness. Focus also creates power. When your attention is fractured, your energy weakens. But when you direct all of your effort into a single aim, you become unstoppable. Think of how light diffuses when scattered, but how it cuts like a laser when concentrated. The same is true for your life. The sharper your focus, the stronger your results. Focus is not only about saying yes to your vision, it is also about saying no to everything that pulls you away from it. Every yes must be protected by 1,000 no's. This discipline may feel uncomfortable, but it is the cost of transformation. You cannot give your time and energy to everything and still expect extraordinary results. You must choose what matters most and then give it everything you have. The mind will always try to wander. It will seek the path of least resistance, the quick escape, the easy distraction. But every time you redirect your attention back to what matters, you strengthen your focus. Like a muscle, it grows with repetition. The more you practice bringing your mind back to your priorities, the more natural it becomes. Soon, focus is no longer a battle. It is your default state. Ask yourself, where is your attention going right now? Are you feeding distractions or feeding your vision? Are you giving your time to what builds your future or to what wastes your potential? The answers to these questions reveal why you feel stuck or why you move forward. Your focus determines your direction, and your direction determines your destiny. Focus also brings peace. When you stop scattering your energy, you stop feeling pulled in every direction. You feel centered, aligned, purposeful. That calm intensity gives you strength because you are no longer drained by distractions. You are fueled by clarity. Every day becomes simpler because you know exactly what matters and exactly where to direct your energy. Focus is the amplifier of transformation. It turns effort into results, persistence into breakthroughs, and time into progress. When you learn to protect your focus, you unlock a level of power that most people never experience, because while others are busy chasing distractions, you will be building a life of purpose, and that life will not be built by accident. It will be built by the sharp, relentless focus that transforms vision into reality. The 10th principle of transformation is courage. Focus directs your energy, but courage is what pushes you into the unknown, into the uncomfortable, into the very places where growth lives. Transformation always demands that you step beyond what feels safe. It demands that you face fear, uncertainty, and risk without turning back. Without courage, even the clearest vision and strongest discipline remain trapped inside the boundaries of comfort. With courage, you break through those boundaries and discover how much more you are capable of becoming. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is action in the presence of it. Fear will never disappear completely because fear is the mind's way of protecting you from danger. But the truth is, most of the fears that hold you back are not life-threatening. They are ego-threatening. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of judgment. None of these can destroy you unless you surrender to them. Courage is the decision to move forward even when fear shouts the loudest. Every time you choose courage, you grow. Every time you act despite fear, you rewire your brain to see that discomfort does not kill you, it strengthens you. Fear shrinks when faced, but it grows when avoided. That is why the more you avoid what scares you, the more powerful fear becomes. But the moment you lean in, fear loses its grip. Courage is the weapon that dissolves it. Courage also inspires momentum. When you take a bold step, you send a signal to yourself that you are no longer ruled by hesitation. That signal builds confidence. Confidence builds action, and action builds results. This cycle begins not with certainty, but with courage. The courage to step into the unknown before you have proof it will work. Ask yourself, what have you been avoiding because fear convinced you it was too risky? What opportunities have you let slip by because you hesitated? What dreams remain dormant because you are waiting for fear to leave? The truth is, your transformation is on the other side of those very fears. The thing you fear most often carries the exact growth you need most. Courage is a choice you make daily. It is choosing to speak up when silence feels easier. It is choosing to begin when quitting would be safer. It is choosing to believe in yourself when doubt tells you not to. Every act of courage, no matter how small, compounds into a life of power. And the more you choose courage, the more natural it becomes. Soon, fear no longer paralyzes you. It motivates you because you know that the presence of fear means you are stepping into growth. Courage does not guarantee that you will never fail, but it guarantees that failure will never be the end. Because courage transforms failure into progress, rejection into redirection, and uncertainty into opportunity. With courage, you stop living in the shadows of what if and start living in the light of I did. Courage is the spark that ignites transformation. It pushes you beyond hesitation, beyond comfort, beyond fear, into the life you were meant to live. With courage, nothing is too risky, nothing is too late, nothing is too impossible. Because once you decide to be brave, you unlock the strength to do what most people never will. You rise. The 11th principle of transformation is consistency. Courage sparks change, but consistency sustains it. Anyone can act with bravery for a moment, but true transformation requires repeated action, even when motivation fades, even when progress feels slow, even when results are not yet visible. Consistency is the bridge between intention and achievement, between the vision of who you want to be and the reality of becoming that person. Without it, courage becomes a single spark that burns out. With it, courage becomes a fire that never stops growing. Consistency is powerful because it rewires your identity. Each repeated action is a vote for the person you are becoming. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, every time you show up instead of making excuses, every time you commit when quitting would be easier, you reinforce a new self-image. Over time, the repetition of these choices creates unshakable belief in your own capability. Transformation does not come from one giant leap, but from 1,000 small, steady steps taken without stopping. The human mind is designed to create patterns. Whatever you repeat becomes automatic. This is why consistency is so transformative. It turns effort into instinct. At first, discipline feels heavy. It requires focus, energy, and willpower. But when you practice it long enough, it becomes second nature. What once felt impossible becomes normal, and what once required struggle becomes effortless. That shift is how lives change forever, not through sudden miracles, but through the quiet power of repetition. The reason many never transform is because they mistake speed for success. They want change overnight, results instantly, breakthroughs without the grind. But real transformation is built like muscle. It grows through repetition, through practice, through consistency. Just as lifting a weight once will not make you strong, taking action once will not change your life. But doing it again and again, even when no one is watching, builds strength that nothing can take away. Consistency also destroys doubt. Doubt feeds on hesitation, but it starves in the presence of repeated action. The more you show up, the more evidence you create for your own strength. The more evidence you create, the less room doubt has to speak. Confidence is not built from thoughts, it is built from proof. And proof is built from consistency. Ask yourself, are you willing to keep showing up when the excitement fades? Are you willing to keep working when progress feels invisible? Are you willing to stay committed even when no one is clapping for you? If the answer is yes, then nothing can stop you because consistency always wins in the end. Time bends to those who refuse to quit. Results belong to those who refuse to disappear. Consistency is not glamorous. It is not loud. It does not seek attention. It is quiet, steady, and relentless. But it is also unstoppable. Every great transformation, every extraordinary achievement, every story of success rests on this principle. Because when you stay consistent, you prove to yourself and the world that your commitment is stronger than your excuses. Do not underestimate the power of showing up again and again. One day of action may change your mood, but a lifetime of action changes your destiny. Consistency is how you turn courage into character, potential into reality, and dreams into undeniable truth. It is the ultimate proof that you are not just wishing for transformation, you are living it step by step, day by day, without stopping. The 12th principle of transformation is contribution. Consistency strengthens who you are, but contribution expands who you become. A life lived only for yourself eventually feels empty, no matter how much success you create. True transformation reaches its highest form when the energy you've built within spills outward and begins to elevate others. Contribution shifts your perspective from self-preservation to self-expansion. It reminds you that your growth is not just about what you can achieve, but about the difference you can make. When you give, you connect to a deeper source of meaning. Contribution is not about wealth, status, or recognition. It is about realizing that the smallest act of kindness, encouragement, or support can ripple far beyond what you see. Helping someone rise gives purpose to your own rise. Lifting someone else's spirit strengthens your own. This is not just philosophy. Psychology proves that contribution activates the parts of the brain linked to fulfillment and happiness. It literally rewires your sense of value, shifting it from temporary rewards to lasting impact. Contribution also destroys the illusion of limitation. When you give, you prove to yourself that you are not lacking. Scarcity whispers that there is not enough time, enough love, enough opportunity. But the moment you choose to contribute, even in the smallest way, you step into abundance. You declare that you already have something worth sharing. That belief transforms you from a person waiting for life to improve into a person creating improvement, not just for yourself, but for others. Contribution builds courage because it forces you to step outside your comfort zone. It takes courage to share your voice, your energy, your heart. It takes courage to care in a world that often feels disconnected. But every act of contribution multiplies strength. It teaches you that you are capable of making an impact, that your presence matters, that your effort has meaning. And when you realize that, fear loses its hold because contribution gives you a reason greater than yourself to keep going. Ask yourself, who can you lift? Who can you encourage? Who can you serve with the strengths you already have? You do not need to wait for the perfect time or the perfect version of yourself. Contribution begins now with what you can give today, and every time you give, you expand your capacity for more. More love, more strength, more resilience, more purpose. Contribution is also the ultimate measure of transformation because no matter how much you achieve, no matter how high you climb, the real question is, did your life make a difference? Did your journey create light for others? Did your growth inspire growth around you? Transformation that ends with you is incomplete. Transformation that spreads through you becomes legacy. When you contribute, you rise above the noise of daily struggle and touch something eternal. You no longer live just to survive. You live to serve, to impact, to leave behind proof that your existence mattered. And that realization ignites a deeper level of motivation than anything else. Because when you know your life is part of something bigger, nothing can stop you from giving everything you have to the path ahead. Contribution is the highest expression of transformation. It is how courage, discipline, focus, and consistency find their ultimate purpose. It is the principle that ensures your growth does not end with you, but multiplies into the lives of others. And when that happens, transformation becomes more than personal. It becomes unstoppable. The final principle of transformation is faith. Contribution gives your life meaning, but faith gives your life power. Faith is the unshakable belief that no matter how uncertain the path, no matter how heavy the struggle, no matter how far the destination, you have within you everything it takes to rise. It is the strength to keep moving when logic says stop. The fire to keep believing when doubt screams louder than hope. Without faith, obstacles become walls. With faith, those walls become doors waiting to be opened. Faith is not blind. It is not ignorance of struggle or denial of pain. Faith is awareness of every challenge and still choosing to believe in a greater outcome. It is trust in the unseen, confidence in the process, and certainty in the power of persistence. Faith is what turns setbacks into lessons, failures into stepping stones, and delays into preparation. It transforms disappointment into patience and struggle into strength. It is the ultimate resilience, the inner force that refuses to let darkness define you. Every breakthrough in human history was fueled by faith. Before there was evidence, there was belief. Before there was proof, there was vision. The same is true for your transformation. You cannot wait for certainty to take action because certainty never comes first. Action fueled by faith creates certainty. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a declaration that you are bigger than your fears, stronger than your doubts, and closer than you realize. Faith is also the foundation of peace. The mind craves control, but life is unpredictable. There will be storms, delays, and detours you cannot plan for. Faith does not remove them, but it anchors you through them. It reminds you that you are guided, that struggle has meaning, that everything you endure is shaping you into who you are meant to be. With faith, you stop fighting the uncontrollable and start mastering the controllable. Your attitude, your effort, your choices, your courage. Ask yourself, what would your life look like if you chose faith over fear in every decision? How many opportunities would you seize? How many dreams would you pursue? How much more strength would you discover if you trusted the process instead of doubting yourself? Every moment of hesitation is a moment where fear is winning. Every moment of faith is a moment where you win. Faith does not demand perfection. It demands persistence. You will stumble, but faith lifts you. You will fall, but faith teaches you to rise. You will face rejection, but faith reminds you that rejection is redirection. Every time you lean on faith instead of fear, you build an unbreakable spirit. And that spirit is what carries you beyond survival into transformation. This is the principle that ties all others together. Focus, discipline, courage, consistency, contribution. None can stand without faith, because faith is the voice inside that whispers, keep going. Faith is the power that says, you are not done yet. Faith is the light that guides you through the darkest nights and leads you into the life you were born to live. With faith, nothing is too big, nothing is too late, nothing is too far. Because the moment you choose to believe, you unlock the strength to become unstoppable. And that is the essence of transformation. Choosing faith, living faith, and letting faith turn your potential into reality.